touch on that again in a moment. Mike Revercombe from Ohio Normal. Why support?
I agree that testing should have been done. And the first petition to ask them to do the studies happened in 1972. It's been 41 years that cannabis supporters have been asking for the federal government to give people a safer alternative for medicine, and they've forced our hand. 41 years ago, I think you could find a lot of people who would have been willing to wait for tests. But I'm not going to sit around and watch another generation of children struggle, another generation of PTSD-stricken soldiers struggle, while we wait for the government to continue to drag their hands.
Yeah. John Pardee, your group's putting an initiative to take this to the voters. Why support it?
Well, for me, it was simple. I like Marcy and Dr. Mattson down there. I was a skeptical father 6 years ago when my son was nearly killed in a car accident. And when he came out of the hospital, his options were opiates and over-the-counter medicines. And when my son started using cannabis on a regular daily basis, I went, hey, hang on. I heard all the hype too, and I was afraid of it. But I did the research, and I looked into it. And I found out that the opiates are the #1 killer of citizens in the state of Ohio, even outstripping car accidents nowadays. That's what was being prescribed to him by the doctors, the drugs that were approved by the FDA. And then the over-the-counter medications are the #1 cause of liver failure in America today. And my son is a young man. He never would have made it to old age if that had been his pain management treatment. And his doctors told him pain was going to be his lifetime companion. So he needed something that he could use as safe and effective and he could use long term. And I was a skeptic, and I became a believer, and I became an advocate, and now I'm leading the Ohio Rights Group, and we're going to make it legal in the state of Ohio.
Yeah. I'll remind you folks again, if you'd like to ask questions, by all means go and visit Yolanda over there. Dr. Steve Mattson, let's get a response to that. You talk about the need for strict protocols, and the FDA has approved these medicines that, as John is saying, are actually causing damage, whereas this doesn't, in his view.
Well, I guess I'd just say, people go to school for a long time, and doctors and scientists really know how to do proper research. I agree there have been some problems getting these studies done, but I believe they are getting done now, and more of them are getting done. But, his son's story, another one person's story, another one person's story, that doesn't prove anything. I mean, that proves that somebody got better, maybe because even they wished them to get better. We know how strong placebo effect is. And it's been proven. You can give somebody placebo and 20 or 30% will get better, even if there's no active medicine in it. So if we really want to know that a medicine works, it has to be studied, compared to similar drugs. And, I think there probably are going to be uses, but I just think this is really bad medicine that, if I were going to give a drug to one of my patients and say, I don't know how much is actually in there, I don't really know what the side effects are, nobody's really tested it, but why don't you give it a try and see if you get better? I'm pretty sure most of my patients wouldn't want that.
You don't feel there's enough anecdotal evidence out there now of it actually working? I mean, you hear so many stories, but you say 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but there seems to be hundreds of stories where it seems to work. We're just not there yet, in your view?
Well, I'm going to get shouted down, I guess, but obviously there's a vocal crowd that wants their story heard, and I think doctors, scientists aren't always the best at stating what they really believe. I can tell you, I take care of addicted kids every day, and I can tell you that weed has been a big part of a lot of their problems. It's true, people say they take it for stress and anxiety, but there are better drugs for stress and anxiety and depression than marijuana, and they probably would do better if they actually got the right medicine. And I can tell you the kids that start, especially with brain development now, we know that young people's brains are changed by marijuana and can be changed forever. And definitely makes them way more likely to use opiates in this state. And I can tell you 250 adolescents and young adults are dying every year from opiate overdose in this country, in this state.
Yolanda, you have a question.
Yes. I do. If you could state your name and tell us your question or comment.
Robert Fawn, behavior specialist, disabled vet. This is directed to Dr. Matson. Since I've been on half dozen antidepressants and probably 12 different pain medications since I was injured in the military, and I've gotten addicted on them, and they've titrated up and up and up to the point where now I have side effects as a result of it. How can you say that something that you know is bad for me is worse than me smoking marijuana or taking a tincture of marijuana?
Well, again, some things work for people. I mean, if